Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ThetaTalks, episode 3. So, today we have a very interesting topic on who is going to do the healing during a session. So, I am very curious to know what you guys think. Who does the healing during a Theta healing session? Is it the healer? Is it the client? Is it I shall give you that answer shortly when my partner comes in. Hello, hello.
Hi. Can you,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, Mish?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Theta Talks. I'm sure Mish has also welcomed you in. So, what are we talking about today, Mish?
So I was introducing our topic, which
Hmm.
is who does the healing, right? Is it you? Is it me? Is it the healer? Or the person receiving, the client?
Right. It's a big question, right? It's a loaded question. Um, what is this healing that we keep doing, right? And it's called theta healing for a reason. So, where's the healing coming from? So, first thoughts. Maish. When people ask you that question, right? Your clients come in, someone comes in for, a call to ask about theta healing, and they say, "Who does the healing?" First thing that comes to you.
That's not a question that I get actually. The question that I get um, uh, is it going to contradict or conflict with my religion? I get that question of, will it, the healing, or because the idea or the concept behind who does the healing is probably not clear, which is why this is probably great topic to discuss. So that's what I get.
Yeah,
Is it going to conflict with
right,
my beliefs?
right. And I get that because a lot of our clients do come from the Philippines, or they are Filipinos who live in other countries. And so many of them are Christian, Catholic, religious orientations may call into question, what is this thing we're doing? Is it going to go against my religion? So you're right. This is a really appropriate topic. Now, one of the things that I say to my clients, I say to people who I'm talking to Theta Healing about, is that we can all agree that we've come from some source, right, of energy. We've come from somewhere. We must have all come from somewhere, right? We didn't just like appear out of thin air. We've all come from somewhere or some form of energy before we became us. And pretty much everyone agrees with that. Um, yeah, everyone agrees with that. Now, every person I work with may come with a different religious background or set of values and beliefs about God, right? So, the one thing we all agree upon is that there's something bigger than us, which coincides with the idea that we've all come from somewhere,
Yes, absolutely.
right? So, what would you call that? Like in the way you grew up, right, Maisha? Like your religion, your culture, your upbringing, you've lived also in different cities and countries. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I mean, I would call that energy or what I've believed to be God, right? I wasn't very religious growing up, nor my family per se. We were born Hindus. But my parents um, would kind of use the word God a lot. So that's the energy that I feel or have felt or grew up with.
Yeah, which is really interesting, right? Because I went to a Catholic school growing up in Japan. I went to, I had Bible classes. I read the Bible under my covers with a flashlight. So even though I was born Hindu as well, I was very much, I would say, exposed
Yeah.
to Christianity Catholicism and so on. And I know all the stories, right? I could tell those stories. But what was really interesting for me is as I grew up, I went to college and then I became more familiar with also my religion. In Japan, I was exposed to the Buddhist religion, Shinto religion, and also I went through my own journey of spirituality. I found that I became very comfortable, very uncomfortable with the word God,
Mm.
right? And I couldn't really make sense because God to me was Catholic God, but then God in my religion was referred to by another name.
Right.
Sometimes it was named by like Shiva or the name of the
Yeah.
God. And then, the Japanese religion, it was like Buddha, right?
Yeah.
And then in spirituality, it's just the
Mm.
source. Sometimes the universe. When you start your journey, it's all about like the law of attraction and the universe. You keep talking about the universe. And as you go deeper into in the world of spirituality, you start to understand it as the source. And when I found Theta Healing, my teacher or the founder of Theta Healing, as yours as well, would call that energy the creator,
Right.
right? And I personally resonated with that word the
Mm.
most, the creator. I did end up doing a class called World Relations, which you know about, right, Maisha, where we worked on these God issues and, these different beliefs
Religions
and
and yeah.
conflicts, right, in our
Yeah.
mind about what is this idea of God. And I actually worked on my God issues with
Mm.
the language and the word God, right? And now I can say God, I can say source, I can say universe, I can say creator interchangeably,
Yeah.
right? But I always tell my kids that God is the creator, God is within you, God is all around us, God is energy.
Absolutely.
So if I were to answer the question, who does the healing, right? It is the universe, God, the energy all around us, the source, everything you believe that is the greater power that has created or where we have all come from. Let's put it that way. So that is my definition. What do you think of
No,
that?
absolutely. I mean, when I understood spirituality and started on this journey, when I talk to my kids about God, it's all religions lead to that one same energy,
Hmm.
right? Which I still call God, but that's kind of when I pray or when I do my healings, that one energy. So I tell my kids sometimes, maybe you don't need to go via. You can go straight to creator or straight to God or that energy or that source energy, which is beautiful because at the end of the day, that energy or what we call creator or source is that energy which there's nothing you can do that could ever, you know, be wrong in front of creator or
Of that.
source, you
Right.
know?
Nothing that could be a disappointment. Nothing that could, anger the creator because the creator is just pure love. So if we were to drill it down even more,
Yeah,
right, the way we understand God, you and I, we share very similar definitions, is God, source, creator, is just pure intelligence and pure unconditional
unconditional love.
love.
Yeah,
That's what it is. And to me, there's no greater power than the power of love, the power of pure intelligence or wisdom. There's nothing beyond that. So when we do the healing, both you and I and every other theta healer out there, we are tuning into this beautiful energy of creation, the energy of love and the energy of pure wisdom and intelligence. And if you call that energy God, or you have a specific name for that energy based on your religion, that's perfectly okay. And it actually just means the exact same thing in every religion, in every culture, right? We just all have different lenses through which we perceive, but it's the same understanding, right? It is still the most highest form of intelligence and love that could ever be. And so when you and I do the healing with our clients, we're not doing the healing, right? It's not you, Maisha, or me, Sanaya, that is doing the healing. It is the pure intelligence of love that knows exactly what's wrong and
yeah,
what needs to be healed and how to best help you in a way that your subconscious and your conscious is most likely to accept it, right?
And since it is that energy of love and energy of creator, right? It is very easy for your client or our clients to be able to receive it because it's something that they've known and felt before. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel different. Um, so that, receiving or moving into healing is much more quicker and easier through that energy of love. And we're basically facilitators in all of this,
Right.
right? We're merely um, channeling or like bringing in, this is God, this is you, this is your issues. Come on, bring in that energy of God and let's get witnessing, or what we call it in theta healing, and make that a reality that we want for ourselves.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, and in fact, I think that's going to be our topic for next week is
Ah,
the witnessing, like
oh,
how
yes.
does what makes the healing real, right?
Mm.
What makes the healing happen, or what makes it real? That's actually going to be our topic for next week. What do you think, Maish? I just
Yeah,
like floated that.
I
Yeah?
think that that we can go on for another 30 minutes.
Yeah,
You're right. It's
exactly.
a very good topic.
It's a very good topic. So that's what we're going to do for next week. So I'm going to drop the other idea I had, and we're going to do that one. But I do want to say something else about what we're talking about, which is that when we heal our clients, what Maisha thinks about about her client's problem, or what I think about, what's going on with my client, is it right or wrong or good or bad, and all the judgment, right? Which sometimes happens when we're human, but as theta healers, right, over time, we learn to kind of not hold that judgment because there really is no wrong or right
Yes.
to any part of the story, right? So we keep all of that, which makes us uniquely Maisha, uniquely me, out of the picture.
Hmm.
And when we are doing healings on our clients, we are just listening to the guidance that is given to us through our different intuitive senses. So our intuitive senses are, for example, our psychic sense, our ability to hear or know or see the future or see what's happening in someone's body. Those are the different ways we as healers receive information from the source, from the creator, from God, from the universe, right? And what we do is we get this guidance, and then we follow basically the
Yeah.
guidance or the instructions. So when I see my client, the first thing I do is I scan them. And they're like, "Well, what do I have to do when you scan me?" And I'm just like, "Oh, nothing. I just tell them to close their eyes because it's kind of weird if my eyes are closed and I'm scanning them and then they're watching me. And sometimes I'll have like these like facial expressions because I'm looking at something in their body, right? And I'm like, I don't want them to stare at me while I'm doing that. So you know what? You close your eyes with me as well and just relax. And it also gets them more in a receiving mode, right? And then I go in and I just scan, and I scan through the source energy as the energy of intelligence and love. So I'm going in with so much love, right? And then you and I, we scan our clients, and right away we get this kind of into
Messages,
message, right? And it's like the mother or this happened. Like we are shown before we even talk to our client about what's happening. We are shown where to start. Sometimes I
yeah.
do talk to my client a little bit, but sometimes I can just go in and I'll just scan and I'll get the message. And then my first question to my client when I open my eyes, right, is, so tell me about your
Mm.
relationship with your mother. And boom, within minutes, my client's crying, or like, that's it. That's all it takes for them to recognize
And
that there's something more
yeah.
happening in this session, because she went straight to the root of the problem. Like she went straight
Yeah.
to where it's coming from. And I think within the first scan, anyone you and I are working with is pretty much they understand there's something greater at work, because
Yeah.
how could I have known?
Mm.
How could you have known, right? That this was happening or there was this existing problem.
Yeah.
So it's very rare where my client is like, I don't know what you're talking about. It almost always, right? I'm sure you agree, right, Maisha, with you too. It's like, right, we hit the nail on the head. Is that right? Yeah, we hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. No, and even sometimes when the client may be a little bit, reserved or may not be totally
Comfortable?
they're still a bit skeptical or still a little bit like then at the end when we start digging or asking the questions, right, then they will realize, oh, wait a minute, that is true, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes you need a little bit of probing, and I want to just rewind. So when we connect to creator, the intention is, creator, where is this issue coming from,
right.
or this relationship, or this person's inability to manifest a soulmate, where is it coming from? So that's where we come in, where we direct and direct the client, direct the questions to creator, so that we're able to see or understand where the issue is coming from. And I have a little bit of a joke for you. Like when I asked somebody once when we were in person, I said, can I do a scan on you? And she was looking around for a scanner or like a machine that's supposed to scan. So that was really funny.
That's so
I thought I
cute.
wanted to share that. I always remember that when I say, when I tell somebody, can I scan you? And then they were looking for a scanner. I said, no, with myself in the hands, can I go into your space to do a scan
Yeah.
on you?
So have you had experiences, Maisha, where people feel you in their body? Like, how often does that happen? Or tell me about those experiences, because I'm sure, like anyone who's listening in right now, that would be so cool for them to hear about.
So what generally my clients feel is
Hmm.
very much, and they feel very relaxed and very calm when I'm doing a scan or I'm doing a healing or I'm connected to that energy, because when I'm connected to the energy of source or creator, right? We're taking them up with us, so they're actually feeling that similar energy. So a lot of the times my client feels so relaxed that sometimes I might like lose them. They might drift off because they're so deep into that energy or that space.
Yeah.
Um, and then, or during a session or after, they said, oh yeah, I felt something in my chest or, in different parts of my body. I think everybody's a little bit different in terms of how they feel it when you are scanning them. So what about you? What your clients usually say?
So it's really interesting. Some of my clients are what I call energy
Mm,
sensitive. So they really are in touch with their body. And I've had people who told me exactly where they felt me, and I was actually in that part of their body. So
right.
I've had people who are so sensitive that they can actually feel me.
Mm,
And that's how we train our students, right, Maisha, to go in like very gently and not just like, jump into people's space and like scan them, but to go in really, really gently, is because people can feel us. And what is more like the most beautiful thing about scanning is when we send unconditional love to our client, because
mm.
that's when they really feel it, right? So I've had clients who don't feel anything, and then you send them unconditional love and you can see like their entire body comes alive, like their face lights up
Or
and
even tearing up.
they
Yeah.
start tearing up. We've seen that happen so many times where they're just
Mm,
crying because some people are so starved or deprived of love, or they don't even know that that's what they were looking for more than
yeah.
anything, and they just are you know in awe of that experience of receiving
And
unconditional
I
love, and
think,
most people feel that.
and just to add on, like they've probably never felt that before because the energy was more conditional, the way that they've been brought up to believe, right? Oh, I need to do this in order to be loved by God, or I need to do this mantra or ritual in order to be loved by God, right?
Yeah.
So for them, they haven't actually experienced what unconditional love is, like truly unconditional love. Because I mean, we say our parents love us unconditionally, but then they have a lot of conditions, right, for us to do.
Like
So
good grades
so
or
we're like,
like don't talk back.
yeah, so our concept of unconditional love is not really very clear. And when our clients are able to feel that, it feels like a whole different world, or it just feels incredible because for them to realize that there is such a feeling where there's nothing you can do that could ever,
Yeah,
be affect that. And this energy is always there for us, you
absolutely.
know.
Yeah. You know what kind of people I like? I really enjoy work. I mean, I enjoy working with obviously all kinds of people, whether they're my students or so on, but I really, really enjoy working with people who have no clue what they're coming into, right? So they come in for a session because someone has referred them and obviously quite emphatically referred, one of us. And so they come in for a session, and the ones who have no expectations and they're just like, they have no clue what they're walking into, right? But they know that whatever we do helps, which is why they've come. So I remember one particular client who had never done anything like this before, and she had moved back to the Philippines from the US, and all of this history, was going through some rough time in her life, and came in for a session, no clue again what we were doing, didn't really ask me many questions, but she was very overwhelmed by so many things in her life. And I went on to do some work on her. And at the end of the session, she was literally like blown away because she had never experienced something like this before. She never thought you could have such immediate and instant relief in, a matter of like 45 to 50 minutes. And that she would get so much clarity. I mean, it was just for her, like she didn't know what she was getting into and was just completely like amazed by the
You
session. And then she was
these
like,
are people who've been seeing psychiatrists or seeing
that's the
therapists for
thing.
years, right?
That's the thing. So that's her history. She's like, I've been seeing a therapist for like years and years for this stuff. How did you do that? Like, how did you do that?
In one session, you got what I did for a few
For
years. I
years.
get that quite a bit.
I know, I get that all the time where I have people who've been doing like tens of years of therapy, and then they're just like, how did you do that in one session? And then they're like, wait, but is this going to last? Like, is this just a
Mhm.
temporary thing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Don't like, just go and see how it works for you. Like, go back into your life, and then we're going to connect for our next session anyways. And
Yeah.
then you come back and tell me. And invariably they come back into the next session and they're like, I don't know what you did, but it was like magic. And they literally, like, I can see in their face, they're just like, oh my God, how and why? Because that was my, by the way, totally my experience too. How and why was I living with all this baggage and all this crap for this long, and nobody told me
That you could
that
clear it. Yeah.
you could clear it and release it, and I don't have to
And
live
so
that way
fast.
and so fast, and I don't have to be so miserable, and it's not going to cost me tens of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
right? Like, people are amazed at the kind of stuff that happens in a session. And you know I have this like feeling all the time, like, what, like, and it's just happened to me the other day, right? I was working with a very, very successful coach who's been in the business for decades and decades and decades. And she works with me on theta healing. And she tried theta healing with another healer in New York City. And so when we started to work together, she's like, "Oh, I've already tried it. It's not. I mean, I didn't really have a great experience." And I'm like, you know what? And we met through like a business mastermind. I'm like, you know what? Let's just see where this goes, right? And again, she's a coach. She's a very successful coach. She has been in therapy for decades herself, dealing with her own stuff. And she, after the first session, was just like, Sanaya, what did you do? Because whatever you did was incredible. And she went on to say that she kept looking for the voice in her head, that critical voice, that, part of her that kept saying, you're not good enough, her mother's voice, who kept saying, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you'll never amount to anything. And she's like, after our one session, I kept looking for it. And I've been in therapy for decades trying to get rid of that, that worthiness issue. And she's like, after that one session with you, I couldn't find it anymore. I couldn't find it anymore. Okay.
Amazing.
And so she comes back now to work on like all kinds of different things that she wants to, like she wanted to clear a block on money, she wanted to clear a block on, love, she wanted to clear a block on confidence. And we just, one session we work on the issue. So it's so amazing to me that we have this beautiful, powerful, clearly effective, transformational, almost instant technique. And yet, how many people actually know about it? How many
Oh,
people
true.
actually know it can do what it can do? Right? And how many people can we reach just one on one? And I think that's why you and I were like, we've got to do something
More,
bigger and something
yeah.
more and reach more people. So if you're listening in and you know people who could benefit from this, or you could benefit from this, honestly, please tell people about these talks. Like, we have absolutely no agenda except to talk about something that we love. Maisha and I, we love theta healing so much. And, like my session schedule is fully booked, right? So I'm not like here to like convince people to be my clients. Maisha's super busy. We both have so much going on, but what we both really, really, really love and believe in is theta healing as a modality. We teach it to people. We have lots of classes we run. We offer sessions. We do all of that. Um, and we continue to do it because we believe in it so much and we love it so much, and it's helped us. It's changed my entire life. I know, Maisha, it's changed your life. And if this could help other people more than what we're doing, right? Like that would just be something
You,
that we
you
would
know,
be very
I
happy
want
to
to
do.
add, right, that faith healing has really brought me even closer to the energy of God and Creator as a result, truly understanding myself, understanding that energy of unconditional love.
Yeah.
It's brought that dynamics where I can ask a question and get the answer right away versus praying and not hearing it back,
Right, right.
right? So
Or
that connection, yeah,
asking somebody else to give you the answer to the question that you have because you don't know how to get it any other
yeah,
way. Right? So theta healing definitely teaches you how to connect
to
directly to that
the
energy.
source.
Yeah, beautiful.
Awesome.
I love that. Okay, so Maisha, we are at the end of the top of the hour. I know you're in the middle of teaching a theta healing class, and you stepped out just to do this live with me because we wanted to be, really committed to this thing we've decided to do, Theta Talks, every week, every Tuesday, at GMT +8 time zone. We go live for 30 minutes at 8:30, and we talk about something that is connected to theta healing. And Maisha, you do talk to people, right? Like you offer these emotional breakthrough sessions,
Absolutely.
20 minutes, I believe that anyone can just like anyone who is not an existing theta healer. Obviously, if you're a theta healer, you don't need to see Maisha for emotional breakthrough. But if you're someone who's never experienced theta healing, then do get on a call with Maisha for 20 minutes. You can go to www.thirdeyeonline.com and you will find a link at the top of the page. You can also look at the description below and we will drop a link, and you can just, have a 20-minute with Maisha and just ask her, any burning questions, talk to her about whatever's going on in your life, and she'll, help you get a new perspective or see what you can do about it, right? And then next week we're talking about with
Missing.
well, yeah, like what makes a healing happen and the witness, right? So we're talking about that, which is super cool. I can't wait for that conversation. And finally, we've got a virtue card, right,
Yes.
Aisha?
So we have some virtue cards. This is Theta Healing virtue cards. And the card that is coming up, well, it just jumped up, modesty. Ah,
Ooh,
interesting.
ooh, I
Just
think that's
jumped
kind of,
out.
I know. I wonder if this has to do with me saying, we're not here to find clients or to like,
That's
right?
good one. Yeah.
Right. I wonder if that card's in response to that, maybe there needs to be more modesty, Sanaya, about your schedule. Maybe, yeah, maybe that card's for me, Maisha. Tell me about that card. What is the virtue of modesty? That's kind of
I-
interesting.
That's interesting, right? Hang on. Let
Yeah.
me,
Tell me about it. Right.
okay, let me
So
grab.
the book, if you can.
Yeah.
So We do virtue cards, by the way, for anyone listening in, because Vienna, yeah, she created these virtue cards because part of central to theta healing is the idea that we're all here to learn something and to acquire, different traits and virtues, which are really powerful um, frequencies of virtues or positive traits or valid values or qualities. I guess that's how I'll describe it. And there's always something to learn, right?
So,
Go ahead.
um, if modesty is in your cards, you are presenting yourself to the world in the proper way. So it's
Oh, it's
validation.
validation. I thought the card was telling me, Sanaya, you got to be more modest. But okay, I love that I'm getting the opposite. Okay, go
And
ahead.
then you have allowed yourself to present your body and thoughts with respect and self-love.
Okay.
The knowledge you have received from life experiences are interacting in the highest way. And this ensures success in all areas of your life with a peaceful knowingness.
Beautiful. And I love this card too, Maisha, because on my podcast this week, I don't normally talk about it, but this is so relevant. On my podcast, Project Loving Myself, this week, I released an episode about sexuality. And
Mm.
it's like about pleasure, self-pleasure. It's about how sexuality and self-love is actually connected. And as I was doing, some of the posts I was working on today, I remember thinking, how much is too much to talk about, right? That's literally what I was like. How much is too much? And I was like, how do I make this a little bit more sensitive and um, palatable is the word I was thinking when I was taught, because the episode was completely about sexuality and sexual pleasure and how women have for centuries been shamed and repressed about sexuality. And I was interviewing someone who's amazing. She was an amazing guest. And I was like, I'm Asian. I've grown up in Asia, and I think this is like an Asian thing, right? And she's like, it's not an Asian thing. She's like, I spoke to a woman from Poland, same thing. I speak to a woman from the US, same thing. I speak to a woman from this country, same thing. It's universal. And this virtue of modesty, I love that. That's the virtue that came up today because I think it speaks to what I was thinking about today in
Right.
terms of how much is too much and how
Mm.
much is okay. Am I being too much or too out there? And that's such a,
Good
repression question.
validation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and how about you, Maisha? Modesty. What is the relevance in your life? I mean, we've pulled the card for us too, as well as anyone listening in. So, modesty.
Well, I think that, like when I read what it meant, right, in terms of validation. So, it's nice to have that as a good reminder that, hey, you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing is you're exactly where you need to be,
Oh my
right? So
God.
that's what was that card for me. You're exactly where you need to be right now, except I have to be in my class.
Yes, you do
So.
have to be in your class, and we do need to make sure you go back to your class. So let me see if I can drop a comment about where people can go in case they do want to have a chat with you. And I do highly recommend that you chat with Maisha because she is so much more interesting and funnier than
No,
I
don't
am.
say that. Oops.
It's true. I'm a lot of things, but I am not funny and I'm not as you know what? I'm a lot of amazing things, but Maisha is really such a beautiful energy to talk to.
Oh,
Okay,
thank you.
so it's bit.ly/emotional dash breakthrough. Pretty easy, right? bit.ly/ emotional dash breakthrough. So if you do want to get on a conversation with her, feel free to do that. If you want to hear more of this, give us some love, give us some, comments down below. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you agree, if you disagree. We want it all. And we'll see you next week on Tuesday for our next conversation. So much love, you guys. Love and gratitude.
Have a
Bye.
lovely week.